Sandy, would you like to begin?
Sure. Adam's apple, where the apple is lodged. Adam lost his voice. The apple's now lodged inside his own throat, blocking his ability to speak to God and to come forth with full transparency when faced with difficulties. Even though God knows the hearts and minds of all those he has created, God does not impose force or manipulate anyone into doing anything against one's free will. God allows Adam to hide. Perhaps in the act of hiding, Adam also lost his courage. Courage comes from faith, and now Adam has three curses to contend with: doubting God's goodness, judging nakedness as bad, and finally hiding from God because of his nakedness. Keep going? You don't want to? No?
Yeah, keep going till where you stop at caring.
Okay. Adam internalized Eve's misguided judgment about his nakedness to mean weak. And this created a phenomenon that Lucifer first felt: the feeling of inadequacy, not good enough and not worthy enough. Because Eve judged that Adam's nakedness is bad, Adam had suffered the weight of her criticism, even though he had forgotten that the only judgment that truly matters is God's judgment. God judges nakedness as a virtue to reveal the power of true love, and this has not changed. Though the second curse in heaven is now the second original sin that you, as a progenitor,
Yeah, I
is that
think
right? Progenitor, okay, thank you, of Adam and Eve are carrying. Now I'm going to look up the word. I never heard of that word. I'm going to look it up.
Okay. Donna, anything that resonated with you?
So it was because Eve judged Adam's nakedness as bad that Adam is suffering as well.
Yeah, so imagine like in your personal life or in my personal life, there's someone in our lives that's constantly negative and saying things, and over time you start believing in that negative statement. You know, that's a projection. That's someone else's projection of them. So when Eve thought that Adam was inadequate in his nakedness, she projected that belief system onto Adam, and he started taking on that belief system upon himself. So what Adam did was he internalized Eve's misguided judgment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that is the sin that Adam had to take on, was Eve's projection of him out of her fear. Okay, because remember when she bit the fruit and saw evil for the first time, she was able to see the snake's deception, the snake's cunning, the snake's manipulation tactics. She forgot her own goodness. She forgot that she gave in faith. She bit in faith of the algorithm that you will surely not die. She forgot about that. She just now sees the snake deceiving her, and then she believed she was naive. And then when she looked at Adam, she's like, oh my God, we're both naked. Nakedness is weak. You know, she started projecting that belief system onto Adam, that who they are is not good enough. It's weak. Nakedness is weak, right? So her fear is that their nakedness is weak, and she projected that on Adam. So my call to action is maybe think about people in your life who've projected onto you, and what kind of belief system that they began believing in that ultimately had an influence on you, and that you've taken on the way that Adam's taken on Eve's projection of him. So just kind of get centered on what are some belief systems that other people have projected onto you that that over time you thought was true. And again, you don't have to answer that. It's just what's in the space. Anything else that resonated with you, Sandy?
I like where you broke down the courage comes from faith, and now Adam has 3 curses to contend with: doubting God's goodness, judging nakedness is bad, and finally hiding from God because of his nakedness. It's, it's talking about how we judge ourselves and stuff like that. So that's what I liked about it.
And also remember that Adam's original sin is our original sin now. We all have those 3 layers. And it is layered. It's so layered. So we have to deconstruct that over time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Next page. Donna, would you mind reading?
Sure. Falling under the weight of Eve's critical judgment that contradicts God's original judgment that nakedness is good is what began eating away at Adam's soul. Fallen Eve is a 2-edged sword. She is a mystery that even daughters of Eve are baffled by, with the extrasensory intuition of heart matters encoded in their extra chromosome. Thus, the greatest weapon Eve embodies can be used against fallen Lucifer through true compassion and true humility, or used against fallen Adam through false pride and false humility. Your task as the producer is to confront these dualities. God judged that it is not good for sons of Adam to bear the weight of Eve's judgment and projections alone. Hiding from God is not good, especially if works are run on self-sufficiency, void of any real connection and love. God cursed the ground to curse Adam's curse. God cursed the ground that Adam toils over, not out of vengeance, but as an effective measure for Adam to find God again. Imagine a life of material accumulation but without connection. It will be empty and meaningless because God is love and love is the point of living. So living a life where one is hiding from God is a life lived in futility because we are naturally created to commune with the supernatural presence of our Creator. To lose that connection to our Creator is like being a fish out of water. Thus, the ground is cursed to bear goods at the price of Adam's painful toil, because pain will inspire Adam to transform self reliance into spiritual reliance. The point of one life lived is not to hide in shame and secrecy while dying a lonesome death void of meaning and purpose. No, this world would be a tragedy. God encourages the broken to become broken, open, because pain catalyzes a process of spiritual growth, returning the soul back to its natural state of grace, which is the original state of Adam when he was intimately connected with God, who is the purest source of love. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat of it all the days of your life. Genesis 3:16-17, New International Version.
Thank you so much for that. So anything here that resonates?
Yes. I like the part where you say, thus the ground is cursed to bear good at the price of Adam's painful toil. Because pain will inspire Adam to transform self-reliance into spiritual reliance. I thought that was so deep. So you know how I am with pain, because pain is, I always talk about this with people, and I always say that pain is a gift. I mean, at the end of the day, I know some people say, no, it's not. But just like with the coronavirus, look, it happens, look at, 9/11, it happens, the 2008 crisis, we go through these challenges. but it's up to us. How do we transform into having that spiritual reliance, like having that upbeat, having that capability of transforming into resilience, like after going through setbacks, through obstacles, through many changes of life. I mean, so much things. So that's why, this quote gets me going, because I'm like, yeah, here we go. This is what pain is about. It's about transforming to your spiritual self, your spiritual alliance, knowing God and everything else, like being in centered and being present. Does that make sense?
It does.
I'm a little bit confused about the daughters of Eve. Is that womankind in general, or is that I'm not sure what that term is.
Oh, over here.
Kind of
Fallen Eve is a two-edged sword. She is a mystery that even daughters of Eve are baffled by, with the extra sensory intuition of the heart matters encoded in their extra chromosome.
Okay, so what
Right, Donna? Is that right, Donna?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, so what I mean by this is every human being that carries an extra chromosome, because just biology, like males have XY and females have XX, which means we have an extra chromosome. But for some, there is a mystery hidden in that extra chromosome, is my theory here. We're saying that in that extra chromosome, even those who carry that extra chromosome, it's a mystery to the people who carry that extra chromosome. It's a mystery even to us, is what I'm saying.
Did Eve? I'm sorry.
No,
sorry. Did Eve have daughters, or Cain and Abel were her sons?
I only thought she had 2 sons. I didn't know did she have a family afterwards? Because that's what I'm confused.
That's what happened. That's why when I said, wait, Donna, I think I know where Donna's going, because Eve had Cain and Abel, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they had 2 sons, unless that's what I was like, are you referring to womankind, or is there like a different family that's going on that I don't know about?
She had to have females. Okay, she had 6. Just Google.
Oh.
Eve had how many children, and it was 6. Cain and Abel were the first 2, and then it was Seth, Azura, Lulua, and Awan.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's deeper.
I only heard of the first 2.
Right, Cain and Abel.
She had 3 daughters, Azura, Awan, and Lulua.
Wow.
3 sons, 3 daughters, which makes sense, because how the heck would they procreate without that extra chromosome? Just saying. But yeah, she's pretty, Lulua. But maybe that's just a Google image. No idea.
Like a heightened sense of intuition. Like,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's pretty cool. This is all new to me.
Yep. Okay, I'll continue. Another reason why God cursed the ground is so Adam's toil becomes a way to alleviate the depth of pain Adam had to take on when he had 3 curses to fight. Suffering produces patience. It's not the only way, but for the stubborn soul, it may sometimes be the only way. Patience produces a return to trusting in God rather than the people, places, and things of the world. I'm going to put of this world. God produces the counter curse to the curse of I hid because I am naked, in hopes that Adam will one day remember who God is and turn to God for help. Since God is the source of replenishment and grounding, we call this becoming rooted in faith, hope, and love. When we rely on people, positions, and things as the means to our long-term sustenance and validation of self-worth, we will become disappointed, because there is no such perfect person, place, or thing in existence here. I'm going to just emphasize adding here. What is available, constant and free, comes from the faith in a God rooted in love in the unseen realm. Who told you that you were naked? Asked the Lord. Genesis 3:11. Okay, anything that stood out?
Oh, okay. Here we go. When we rely on people, positions, and things as the means to our long-term sustenance and validation of self-worth, we will become disappointed because there's no such perfect person, place, or thing in existence. It resonates because I always talk about we should always trade our expectations for appreciation.
Ooh, I love that. So good. So
Yeah. Because when I see that, I'm like, oh, I know this one because it talks about, how people want that external validation that's not really significant. Like it's just false, like false pride. Like, it has that false purpose, but in the end, it's all about trading your expectation for appreciation at the end. So that's why it resonated with me.
yeah. And even in Buddhism, Buddha realized this truth early on. He realized that nothing could satiate his suffering, because if his suffering relied upon people, positions, and things, there was something, he didn't realize it was probably ego. There was an ego, but he realized it wasn't the thing. It wasn't the answer. And so he achieved nirvana to discover the presence of supernatural beings, battling, right? He elevated himself through meditation. But even then, like this whole concept that, when you hear the word like striving, like, hey, you're striving or someone's striving. Originally, I loved the word striving because it felt like, you're getting things done. But then in the spiritual sense of striving, it means like you're putting your worth and validation in things that would not sustain that sense of self-worth and belonging or home, or whatever that thing is you're looking for. It's not sustainable. So that's what striving means. It's this constant grab, like I'm constantly grabbing for external validation, when really it's what this is saying is pivot to a reliance on God,
Mm-hmm.
and the striving will stop. You're still doing things, but you're doing it in perfect patience and presence, rather than doing it because you're trying to fill a void.
Yes.
Donna, any questions or things that resonated?
Yeah, the same thing Sandy mentioned.
Yeah.
I feel like I relied a lot on people, because for me, like relationships in particular, well, romantic relationships in particular, to be more precise, like that was where I felt most at home. So I looked for that sense of home in a relationship, but you know, that's I never really felt at home with myself. So of course, looking for it in something like that was just a recipe for disaster, because I put up with a lot of stuff that was not healthy because I wanted that, because I
Yep.
couldn't provide it for myself.
Yep. So true. Sandy, we got 5 minutes, so I'm going to have you read the last page, and then we're going to stop here.
Okay, cool. Adam's shame of his own nakedness is a curse that was initiated by a projection from fallen Eve, now known as Maya, the embodiment of illusion. Adam has forgotten the original word of God and instead listened to the new judgment that contradicts the word of God, Maya's judgment. Adam also began focusing on the carnal as well when he focused on his flesh rather than on his spiritual growth. This is like basing one's value and worth on appearances rather than on character, right action, right conduct, and doing the virtuous thing. Notice God did not curse naked Adam for his nakedness, but rather the grounded by which he began placing his trust in. The counter curse to the curse is by cursing the ground by which Adam walked on, because the ground is not the grounding that Adam should trust. Rather, it is God who is the foundation, and that is why it is the ground that is cursed, not Adam. There are two pairs of eyes to see: the connection with God, good, and the separation potential of said connection, evil. If Adam focused too much on the carnal, flesh, earth things, he may lose sight of the internal and eternal love, spirituality, the divine. And so God made the ground unreliable so Adam can sooner or later realize the divine hand behind it all. It takes faith, patience, and perhaps a rocky road to produce such an awakening.
So this is the setup for the anti-curse. When we talk about a negative and a negative. So God understands how to counter curse. God curses. Anything that is the absence of love is a curse. So God cursed the ground by which Adam is standing upon, because God did not want Adam to start worshiping the ground, because it's dead matters. There's no spirit behind it. It's made up of carbon and atoms, and it's natural things, right? It's like worshiping our skin, right? You're worshiping the bodysuit, but you forgot to worship the spirit. So that's kind of this is the whole concept of the mystery of love. It's shadow work. It's cursing the curse to reverse the effects of a curse. So God's cursing the ground because something was already cursed. It was Eve's projection of Adam that he agreed to, that became Adam's curse. Hiding from God is a curse. So God had to curse the ground by which Adam stood on. So Adam will eventually pivot his eyes back to God. And that is the power of a counter curse. And that is really what you see in the Bible when in Genesis 3:16 through 17, it's a counter curse. God cursed the ground. Cursed is the ground because of you. You would think it's negative, but if you really think about it, God is saying to Adam, because I love you, I'm cursing the ground. So you do not get fixated on something immaterial. You get to pivot your focus back to me one day. So you don't continually hide from me because it's not good for you, because I am the source of your sustenance. So I'm going to curse this ground because of you. Not, because of you. No, it's because of you. Because I love you, son. Because you're part of me and I love you passionately because of you. That's how it's actually really, if you could see it from the spiritual eye, then it would be interpreted differently.